If you love podcasts, you already know how to fit great stories into your busy day. So why not do the same thing with books? Everand is an affordable audiobook and ebook subscription that goes wherever you go. Your commute, your workout, your grocery run. No rearranging your schedule, no carving out reading time. Just hit play. For a limited time, new members get 2 free books when they start a free trial. Go to everand.com/listen to claim yours. That's everand.com/listen.
Have you ever met someone and instantly connected? Met other people are like, "Ooh, I need a shower." We need to talk about proxemic space, building that rapport, interpersonal distance. Some people get a little too close for comfort. It's the proxemics mistake. We have our personal space zones. You violate that, they feel uneasy. You're unlikable. It reduces trust. Hey, do you know when to sit, how to sit, when not to sit, how to stand? Standing or sitting in the wrong spot could be costing you the deal. Why does this happen? What do we need to do? How do you apply it? Let's do it.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
Welcome to podcast 602. Kurt Mortensen here for Maximize Your Influence, where we take that deep dive into persuasion, motivation, influence, self-persuasion, or that success mindset. You know, the things we should have learned a long time ago that makes a big difference in your life and the things that you're able to accomplish. Hope you're achieving your goals, making things happen, adding those influence tools to your toolbox, learning to become better negotiators. Remember, negotiation and influence is different. With persuasion and influence, you bring them to your point of view. Negotiations give, take, and meeting somewhere in the middle. So proxemics is a scientific study from Edward Hall, an anthropologist, looked into how humans use, perceive, and interpret personal space during interactions. Stranger danger, we want a lot of space. Something we know really well, we need less space. So these distances shape the way we communicate, how comfortable we feel, our emotional responses, and our social behavior. So the reason this is important, this physical distance between people, decides how fast you can develop rapport, trust, and the decision-making process. Remember, up to 95% of influence involves a subconscious trigger, a feeling. You might not even know why you're feeling awkward, uncomfortable. They could be a close talker. They could have sat in the wrong seat. And this leads to discomfort or even defensiveness, leading your prospects, your customers to disengage or even reject your offer or get the "I'll think about it" response. So when you maintain the right distance, you keep them comfortable. There's a psychological safety there. It accelerates that rapport, that connection, and increases your likelihood of sealing the deal. We could talk about their office, a round desk, a square desk. All these come into play to build rapport and reduce resistance. Now again, Edward Hall coined the term proxemics. Some people just call it personal space, interpersonal distance, spatial communication. It has a lot of different terms, but you know when you feel it, something's up, something's going on. Which brings us to the persuasion blunder. Don't! See it all the time in negotiation, persuasion, sales, sitting or standing too close, especially at networking events where people just get too close, getting too personal too fast, getting in their face before they've even acclimated to the room. These all could be subconscious triggers that you could be experiencing. So I was monitoring a seminar speaker, and they were kind of a touchy-feely type. Hey, shake your neighbor's hand, touch him on the shoulder. Even had everyone turn around and give them a massage on their back. That's a little too much for most people. Anyway, he would walk down the aisles and actually walk down the rows and actually touched this lady on the shoulder, and she let an audible gasp. I mean, you could hear it. The audience could hear it, and she left the room. Some people don't want to be touched. Some people don't want people standing that close, and that can really affect the energy in the room. And of course, this person left the room and lost the ability to persuade that person. I mean, imagine you're sitting at your desk, and I've actually seen this one, and the sales rep's getting excited. They want to get a little closer. They pick up their chair and put it behind your desk, next to you. That's a violation of space for most people. Some people can deal with it. Some people are like, no, too much, too soon, too fast. Unless we're dating, we're not getting that close to each other. I mean, imagine sitting in a movie theater, you're all by yourself, the whole place is empty, and someone comes and sits next to you. What about the armrest on an airplane? Who gets that space? Maybe you have a father or a grandfather that has their favorite chair. Everyone knows it's their favorite chair. And someone comes over who doesn't know it's their favorite chair, sits in that chair. You could feel that awkward tension in the room. And that's the big key here, is learning to read people, understand people, how much space they need. Now, this can vary by culture. It can vary by personality. It can vary by the size of city you grew up in. Growing up in New York City, you probably need less space on a subway than if you grew up in the middle of a farming community. Why does this happen? A lot of salespeople, persuaders. Oh, we got to build that rapport, that warmth, that enthusiasm, that connection. We have to get that personal relationship, and that means we need to get a little closer. And they close that gap a little too soon. I mean, granted, some people are just missing some filters. They just don't get it. That's how they are raised. That's what they're used to. They don't realize they're making people uncomfortable, but it's real, especially by culture. Some cultures, Germany, need a little more space. Some cultures, South America, don't need as much space. It's always fun to watch a South American talking to a North American. The South American's trying to get closer, and the North American's backing up. Need a little more space. And they don't even know they're doing a little dance around the room. First time I went to the Middle East, hey, another guy might hold your hand. All right, I can deal with that. But when it happened, that was a little too much for me. It's not something I was used to. Only person I held hands with was my wife, and now this guy is holding my hands. But to them, that's part of their culture. From spaces to kissing to holding hands to how close you stand. No right or wrong, we're different, but you have to learn to adapt. Remember, our goal here is to persuade people how they want to be persuaded. So let's get into our geeky Scarly article. Dr. Hall and the Hidden Dimension, which is a classic, a book on spatial relationships with Proxemics. So Dr. Hall developed his concepts from anthropology, where he observed spatial relationships, spatial misunderstandings from different cultures, business negotiations, and relationships, and categorized that research. And so he found there were measurable distances between people. Again, it varied by culture and context. So to back up here, anthropology is a study of what makes us human. Our biology, our cultures, our languages, our past, and how all those things interact. And Dr. Hall found there were 4 primary zones. So there was the intimate zone, 0 to 18 inches. Those are for close relationships, maybe even some physical contact. Then there's personal space, roughly 18 inches to 4 feet, usually family and friends. Social space, 4 to 12 feet, common in professional and casual settings. And then there's public space, that's beyond 12 feet, used for speeches or addressing groups. He found that violating these unspoken, no one's bringing a tape measure and measuring out your 4 feet. These are unspoken rules. When you violate them, it triggers stress, withdrawal, aggression. But when you respect that space, it increases trust and rapport and makes your persuasive presentation go better. Again, it can vary. Latin and Arab cultures, they can handle closer distances. Northern European, North Americans, a little bit more. So his takeaway were the 4 primary spatial zones. He found many cultural misunderstandings between people in the space they wanted. All right, let's get into listener email.
Oh, boy!
The reason we're going over this today, David from Chicago, Illinois, that's the United States. Hey, I love Maximum Influence. Thanks for all that you do. I've been in outside sales for 8 years. I realize when I get excited about a solution, I tend to lean in or step closer during in-person demos. And it seems to be happening more frequently. I've watched prospects physically pull back, cross their arms, or suddenly become less engaged, even though my presentation was strong and they had a strong what's in it for them. I suspect I'm accidentally invading their personal space and creating resistance. Could you explain on the podcast why this happens so often in sales and give specific ways to read the room and spontaneously adjust the distance. All right, David, let's talk about it. This is important. This is proxemics. So we talked about why this happens. We need space, and it varies by person, and you need to adjust that. Do you have a good relationship? Are you coming in for a handshake? Coming in for a hug? Coming for a kiss on the cheek? I mean, it all depends, especially now. Things have changed. So I would always read the room and take a look, especially if you're influencing up, you're doing a negotiation. Awkward to do that handshake dance, meaning you come in, are they bumping? Are we handshaking? Are we hugging? And it's kind of an awkward first impression when you're meeting somebody. Hey, follow their lead. You've got a half second to see, are we bump coming in? Is the handshake coming in? Are they doing nothing? Are they putting out their arms for a hug? These are the things that you look for. Where do they want you to sit? Ask them if you don't know. Where do you want me to sit? So they can feel comfortable, even in their office. If you're not sure which chair to take, ask. Or just read the office. Usually you want to sit in the chair that has less clutter in front of it. Desk might have the laptop and the cell phone and maybe some papers. And the other side's less cluttered. Sit on the less cluttered side. So it's all about being gradual, reading the room, not rushing into it. So the gradual approach just means beginning any type of conversation, negotiation, in the social zone, 4 to 12 feet. And as you're reading the room, slowly decrease the distance. As you develop rapport and trust, you're feeling that connection. They're not closing down with their gestures or folding their arms or crossing their legs. So when you start the meeting or presentation, comfortable standing, 4 to 12 feet. I think 12 feet is probably a little too much, but that's Dr. Hall's number. So this respects the other person's natural space bubble. A little bit at a time, reduces the defensive reaction, warms them up to you, and doesn't trigger a stranger danger. And it could be just approaching closer to hand them some paperwork, to show them something on a laptop, to finally take a seat, or always to get a little closer. So especially in a negotiation, if you feel the topic's getting a little tense or sensitive, increase the distance a little bit to preserve the bubble, that psychological safety. They teach this in real estate. When you first come into a home, you don't want to hit them right at the door. You notice that the door-to-door salespeople will step down the stairs a little bit to give you a little space, to be not so intimidating. But when you're showing someone a house, when they first enter the door, it takes a while to acclimate. Even at a store, approaching someone when they first walk in that door, they haven't acclimated, can be a violation of proxemics. So in a home, you start in the larger areas of the home, social distance, and then slowly move closer to the client, clearly comfortable, get them engaged. Then you can start looking at the smaller rooms in the house when you've connected and you have that trust. But the key is reading those cues, those nonverbals. Are they backing up? Are they leaning back in their chair, stepping away, crossing arms? Monitor those so you can immediately adjust your position. So if you're coming in to show them and they kind of back up a little bit, you can hand them the item and then slowly back up. Another one that's been proven to work is called the angular position, especially true male-to-male interactions. This just involves sitting or standing at a 45-degree angle. Even at a restaurant, sitting at a slight angle is less confrontational, a less violation of space than sitting directly across from them. You can use this in meetings, negotiations, people you meet for the first time. It's less confrontational, and it reduces the violation of space. It feels more collaborative, less threatening. They'll be more open to your ideas. That's true if you're standing. It's true at a restaurant. You see this in tense business negotiations where they don't use that square table. They use a round table, so we're all a little more on an angle than directly across from people. Another thing you can do is think about the relationship before you get there. Is this someone you've known for years, a good friend from college, a family member? Is it someone you've met a couple of times? Is it someone you meet for the first time? Is going to tell you where you start in the relationship. Again, follow their cue. If they're coming in for a hug, go for it. Touch is a powerful thing in proxemics when it's done the right way. Go to the archives at maximizeyourinfluence.com. Take your free persuasion IQ assessment. The link will be in your email or wherever you got this podcast. So pretty simple. You're starting 4, 5, 6 feet. And you're slowly moving in, reading their body language. Now there's the cultural thing. Do your research, see how they interact. And the amazing thing I've noticed traveling around the world doing seminars and speaking is when you can adapt to the cultural norms, understand what they believe in, understand how they interact, it shows respect, it reduces misunderstandings, it increases trust when you're influencing in another country. Again, this stuff's available online when you're going to another country. Research their culture. Find out the do's and don'ts. I promise you, it's going to increase your ability to influence. Now, if you're not into the angle, you can do the side by side, so you're not directly across. Again, be careful how close you sit to that person. Maybe you want to ask, hey, can I sit here? I want to show you this paperwork. I want to show you this demo. I want to show you these slides. It creates a sense of working together. Again, not chairs touching. Got to be careful here. Maybe start a little wider and slowly come in as we're looking at the paperwork together. Again, I wouldn't pick up your chair and put it on the other side of the desk, but if you're in a conference room, that is something that can work. And you can bring out, hey, can we look at this together? Position yourself side by side. It can be something that you feel comfortable with and they feel comfortable with. Now, there's some strategy here. If there's a key moment when you're talking about, what's in it for them, that major benefit, the strong ask, sealing the deal, use this sparingly. You can come into their personal zone for those important moments. Now, that's assuming you've done everything right. You've built rapport, you built the trust. That can intensify the emotional connection, but you have to use it at the right moment. But make sure they've been open and trust has been established. Now, if you do it too much, that's going to trigger defensiveness. It's not going to have the same effect. But reserve that for those high-impact moments. Again, you've got the trust, they're on board, and then you move in briefly, you emphasize it, and then return to the comfortable distance. Again, maybe handing a paper, getting a signature, getting a handshake, but then retreating to the comfortable space. And when you do that, of course, make sure there's good eye contact, and you're using a warm tone, right? It's a warm tone, you're being friendly, can help you out on those key moments. Now, on the flip side, if you want to maintain your authority, usually you're going to maintain a greater social distance between the person. Maybe you need to back up. When you maintain more space, shows your authority, shows a little more confidence, but you're still being warm and approachable. Bottom line, that extra distance can signal status, especially in a negotiation, bigger table. Maybe you want a little more space. So let's start simple. There's a lot of nuances to proxemics, going in, going out, space. Let's start with consistency. Learn on reading your prospects, your customers. Let's work on consistency. So consistency means maintaining steady, predictable distance throughout the whole interaction, rather than going in and out, moving around erratically. Because the challenge is when you're erratic, you're changing distances, you might appear nervous or a little pushy, and we all know that can erode your trust. So start there, being consistent, maintaining their bubble. They can stay calm. You're going to feel safe, and they're going to be more open to your influence. Choose that appropriate distance at the beginning, 4 or 5 feet, maintain it unless you're getting those clear signals to come in closer. Just don't get erratic. This has to be below the radar. Be deliberate, be purposeful. If you're going to make a mistake here, give them too much space, and they'll come in closer. Rather than violating their space, their proxemics, their bubble, then you're going to get those uneasy feelings, those bad subconscious triggers. And you'll see this with professional negotiators. They have their spot at the table. They're consistent. They're stable. That makes them appear more calm and trustworthy, especially during those tense moments. Another study by Dr. Otenbring, it was in the Journal of Psychology and Marketing. They found, looking at 1,300 salespeople, when they leaned too close to the customers, it did trigger discomfort, and it decreased spending. That's a wrap. Podcast 602. All the information you need at MaximizeYourInfluence.com. Still running the special 111 sales hacks. They're 3 4-minute audios. Here's the science. Here's the techniques. This is how you apply it. There's actually more than 111. There's a lot of different sales tools. Go as fast or as slow as you want. I'll put the link in your email and in your podcast description. Hey, take something that you learned today, apply it, use it, get more tools in your toolbox, be more aware of people's personal space, their bubbles, their zones. Such a simple thing, but you have to be aware. How do you adapt? When do you apply more space? When do you apply less space? It's all part of the process. Questions, comments, concerns, jokes, rude remarks, I'll take them all at maximizeyourinfluence@gmail.com. Become a better negotiator, become a better influencer, become a better person, and go out and persuade with power.
The people who seem to get more done than everyone else, they're not working longer hours or running on more caffeine. They've just stopped wasting time on the stuff that doesn't move work forward. Switching apps, re-explaining context, hunting for files, those aren't small inefficiencies. They're hours wasted every week. Superhuman Go gives you those hours back. From the makers of Grammarly, Go is an AI chat that sits inside every tab and tool you already use. Always available and ready to help you with what you're working on. Ask it to draft something, summarize a long thread, pull up a file, or prep you for a meeting. Go handles it without you ever leaving the page you're on. This is what it looks like when AI actually fits into your work instead of adding to it. It's like having a teammate whose only job is to help you be better at yours. Go keeps up so you can move forward. With Go working with you, you can show off what you do best. See what Superhuman Go can do at superhuman.com. That's superhuman.com.